We'll call our meeting to order. We're going to start with the special council meeting. Dan, you want to do the roll call?
Mayor Skoog.
Present.
Vice Mayor Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Grossman.
Still here.
Councilmember Mallory.
Here.
Councilmember Marshall.
Here.
Councilmember Nye.
Present.
And Councilmember Whiting.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you, Diane. Next, number 3 is comments, communications. Council have any comments or communications?
I have
Mary?
something. I just wanted to just tell the community thank you so much for all the great participation this week with the healing fields. We had some rough wind out there the other day, and it was quite a task to keep all the flags up. But, you know, the community is fabulous here. I appreciate all the work that everybody does. It's 6 months before you even see that field put up, that people are meeting and planning and organizing and things like that. So it's an act of love, and I know that those people out there that lost their lives 15 years ago appreciate that we remember, and that we'll always remember. It's important because they were doing nothing wrong when they lost their lives. So thank you, everybody, for the healing field.
Thank you. Mary, any other comments? Laura?
I want to tag team that. I was following the response to our healing field on Facebook, and on one post from way back east somewhere, they were bemoaning the fact that people didn't recognize and acknowledge the loss of the children. So I went right on and I let them know that Prescott Valley, from the very first day we put our healing fields up, that we acknowledge the children. And it's been very interesting, the responses I've gotten from all over the country congratulating us for including the children. So, Mary, I particularly wanted you to know that.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions?
Mary, what time are they taking those flags down?
Oh, yes, this is another very important thing that we still need the community's help with. Tomorrow we are taking the flags down about 4:30. 4:30. We would appreciate anybody that could come and help volunteer to get those flags taken down and put them away very nicely with respect, and we will bring them back in a year.
Well, thank you, Mary. Any other comments? Mary, great job. That was a wonderful job.
Well,
You said it was innocent people that got killed. It's not a conventional warfare.
No, it isn't.
Okay, we'll move on then to new business for review, comment, and or possible action. First item is canvass of August 30th primary election. Any comments, Diane?
Yes, Mayor, just briefly. Just briefly going to present the results of the election for the folks that are not here this evening. As you're aware, we went through the primary election held on August the 30th for the purpose of electing 4 council members and considering approval of the home rule, the alternative expenditure limitation. And we had a successful election in both areas there. We have 4 council members that were duly elected by the electorate. You can see the results. The people that did manage to pass the majority vote of 3,315 are listed in red above, along with all the votes of all of the candidates that were in that race. Also, as a part of that race, we also held the home rule, and that is just, let me scroll down a little bit, and I'll show you the results of that. You can see the results there of the home rule, passed by 77.17%. It was approved. And during the election, we only had 38 ballots that were rejected for various reasons, unsigned envelopes, whatever, things like that. Of our 22,728 registered voters, we only had 8,277 that chose to vote. Rather a disappointing figure for us. That worked out to only be 36.4% of our electorate that could have voted in this election. But on another note, I would hope that with the upcoming November election, that all of those folks that did sign up to register to vote, in addition to what we began with in June, which was about another 800 or 900 registered voters that were registered in by August. Let's hope that that continues with that registration going up, and let's also hope that a little bit more folks turn out for this all-important consolidated election, which is not just an election for us, but it's also an election for federal and state and some of the other municipalities, as well as the districts too. And I also wanted to take a moment just to say that on our November ballot, we have one item. We have one initiative, and it's called Prop 440, and that's all listed in your publicity pamphlet that'll be going out to all of the registered voters' homes in the next few weeks, so they can read all about it in there. I won't go into it in any great deal. But one thing I do want to do this evening is recognize the folks that did get elected at the election. I would like to present them, if it's okay with you, Mayor, with their certificate of election this evening.
By all means, they're going to appreciate that.
That would be for Councilmember Grossman, Councilmember Nye, Councilmember Mallory, and Vice Mayor Anderson.
Anyone have any comments or questions? Marty?
Well, I have a question for when Diane gets back to the mic, and that is, do you have an idea or a number? I know that we have a lot of our voters, the registered voters, are on the permanent early ballot list. Do you know what percentage of votes that were actually cast were part of the early ballot?
The Yavapai County has not shared that figure with me yet. I have a stack of papers about this thick that I could go through and try to figure out perhaps that. I would think that it would probably be close to about 75 to 80% of the ballots that were cast are probably from the permanent early voting list.
So you would guess that a lot of those votes came in early in August, not like the week or two before?
Absolutely. Many of those votes were cast within the first 10 to 14 days of receiving their ballots. People got them, filled them out, mailed them back in. That's typically how it does.
Good.
That's the norm. Any other questions for me?
Any other questions, anyone? Comments, motions, promotions, demotions?
Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to make a motion to authorize the mayor in his absence, the vice mayor, to sign Resolution 1973 to canvass the August 30th, 2016 primary election.
I'll be glad to second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'll have to give Diana a few seconds to get back to her computer. Thank you, Diane. That was a good report.
I'm sorry, I did not catch who the second was.
Laura Lee.
Laura Lee.
Okay. Okay. Mayor, how do you wish to vote?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Mallory votes yes. Councilmember Marshall votes nay. Councilmember Nye
Delightedly, yes.
and Councilmember Whiting, as I said, has voted yes. That passes. Mayor?
Dan, I do appreciate the record you gave us, but I also appreciate the people that run, and I want to congratulate the people who won the election. And we've had a good council. It's a nice feeling to have a councilman go, for example, to our league meeting, and you see them going to breakout sessions, and this council does that. I also appreciate the fact that they're sitting up here paying attention. They're not playing games with their cell phone and texting. It's a serious event for each and every member of this council. So I want to say thank you again and congratulations to the council. Any other comments? If not, we'll go on to consideration of approving an agreement with GPREP, Greater Prescott Regional Economic Partnership. Ben?
Good evening. Mayor, Council, before you this evening is a renewal of an agreement between the town and the Greater Prescott Regional Economic Partnership, known as GPREP, which includes a $40,000 expenditure to GPREP for the services that are set forth in the agreement. GPREP is in its third year since its creation, with a goal of attracting quality businesses, capital investment, and good-paying jobs to the Quad City region. A regional partnership gives an organization the ability to leverage the assets of multiple communities when marketing a region, rather than individual towns and cities competing against one another for businesses whose benefits to the region would inevitably reach beyond municipal borders. Staff recommends approval for this agreement, and I'm available for any questions.
Questions, anyone? By the way, you want to introduce Richard?
Yeah, the executive director of
Director,
GPREP is here tonight, Rich Heath.
You want to make any comments, Rich?
He can answer questions.
Question, Laura?
Yes.
Well, thank you. I didn't quite dress for the occasion tonight, but just to tell you a little bit about where we came from. The GPREP's been in business about 2 years after its incorporation. I'm the full-time executive director for GPREP. I've been on board for just over a year. And for the past year, we've been really making some solid inroads on the marketing of the region. As Mr. Hooper mentioned, what our mission is and what our goals are. The agreement that you have in front of us was hammered out maybe 3 years ago, I think right when GPREP was in its early stages of development, and that was to avoid duplication of efforts and to make sure that we were all concentrating on the areas that we were specializing in. And obviously GPREP is kind of this overlying marketing entity for the region. So that agreement states the roles of the local units of government as well as GPREP. And working with Greg Pfister in the past, as well as Mike Paredes, I think we're really starting to gain some traction on the marketing side of things. We have tried to build capacity by getting outside consultants involved, like site location partnerships, where we're going to trade shows and meeting with site selectors. I was just in Chicago the last 3 days, so it's nice to get back to the upper Midwest and see the water of Lake Michigan. So I think we're making a lot of progress, and I want to thank Mike Paredes for his efforts and really working on putting together some projects and really allocating the resources to make sure that we're all, again, on the same page and focusing on those types of companies that are the best fit for our region.
Questions, Laura?
It's exciting to hear that you feel we're very successful with our marketing efforts because, of course, that's critical. In the time frame, just since you've been, really hands-on, let's just say the last year, what do you think the greatest achievement have been just for the last year?
Well, I think on the company side, Vinyl Visions was a great team effort. I know Mr. Paredes worked with that project. The city had. I had some input with that. So that's a company that's relocating from Norco, California. But also on the other side, just the abundance and the focus of our marketing campaign. I've gotten a lot of input from the local economic development practitioners as well as site selectors and our statewide partners on what makes a difference when it comes to putting information in front of site selectors and business development consultants. So I think all of our marketing materials, our social media, our direct marketing campaign, figuring out who we want to attract to this region to fit our existing business community. So I think the marketing side of things, and I think the business development that's in the works now, and I think the biofuels, it might be kind of down the list a little bit, but I field a lot of calls on the biofuels initiative, especially through the Upper Verde Valley Watershed Coalition grant and so forth. So I think if I wish I could wind the tape fast forward 5 years, I don't want to wish away my life, but I think that's going to be one of those industry sectors that's going to be a big part of this region going forward. So, and I want to thank Councilmember Nye for her involvement too with the Watershed Coalition and their proactiveness in those types of businesses as well. So
you're welcome. Good. Out of your recent visit, did you make a contact that you're excited about? I know there's, in this stage, it'd be too early, and you can't give us any details, but could you tease us a little bit?
Yeah, well, we were in California as a group. Tracy McElroy went in place of Mike Preddy's, and we were in California for a couple days, which seemed like about a couple weeks. I don't know how people live there, but we probably spent 10 hours on the highway and various roads. There's a company that is about 60% committed to coming to the region, so I'm really excited about that. But also the site selectors that we met with in LA are very positive about their clientele in Southern California locating into the near west. And they're happy to see somebody other than somebody from Phoenix there. Mm-hmm. And they said, we really didn't know about Greater Prescott until you made contact with us. So it's one of those things you got to be on the radar. Those people are working with companies that are looking for expansion opportunities, and we have everything that they need here. We're not looking at 1,000 employers. We're looking at that 25 to 75 employers, and we're looking for certain types of companies too that have the skill sets that are being provided by our local educational institutions. So we have a very defined focus on our industry cluster. Yesterday and earlier on Tuesday, I met with two site selectors. One was from JLL, which is an international firm, and I sat with him for an hour and a half, and I was amazed at all the information that he had in his advocacy for smaller MSAs. And I wish I could have taped his conversation and brought it back because it had some very enlightening information. He said a lot of his colleagues in CBRE and some of the big firms, they're looking at Phoenix, Denver, LA, and they won't give a second thought to smaller MSAs like ours. But he said, I'm really advocating for smaller MSAs because he has some connection to Arizona. So I was really, really pleased that he said, I want to be a part of your community, and hopefully we can steer some inquiries your way. I can't guarantee you're going to get companies, but we want to make sure that when they're talking to me that the Prescott area is on the radar. The second individual I met with was yesterday morning, and talking to Mr. Hooper earlier, we actually know the same person. So from Mr. Hooper's days in beautiful Toledo, Ohio, and I just happened to meet with him yesterday. He's another big advocate for the smaller MSA areas, and he was very genuine. Both of them, Michael Bennett and Jerry Satane, were very genuine about their willingness to help smaller MSAs like Prescott, the Greater Prescott area. So we're very pleased with that. So I can guarantee if I don't follow up with them, I don't stay on their radar, then we're just going to fall back into the pile with everybody else. So I'm really excited by their expression on their face when they were talking to me. So that gives me hope, I guess, for the lack of a better term.
Would you explain to our viewers what MSA stands for so they'll clearly understand your point?
MSA is a metropolitan statistical area. Make me say that word. I think. All MSA, larger areas are designated as an MSA for a variety of reasons. We have an MSA and we have an MPO. That's what Chris Bridges oversees. So.
Thank you.
But MSAs are categorized. And just I don't want to cut anybody off, but just when companies look at certain areas, they do focus on MSA size. And that's very important for everybody to understand that it's $1 million plus. It could be 10 million plus, $1 million plus, and then we fall below obviously the $1 million plus. And sometimes we don't fall on the radar, get on the radar just because we fall into that MSA category. So,
thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, I just thought I'd put you on the spot and let us know, for the viewers anyway, who are some of the other members of GPREP. And do you consider them, or should we consider, I know the answer already, as competitors in this process that you're talking about?
When GPREP was formed, it was meant to bring in Yavapai County. So they are a investor. City of Prescott's an investor. Chino Valley, as well as Dewey Humboldt and town of Prescott Valley. We have Yavapai College, Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. NAU gives in-kind space. We have a number of private sectors like Yavapai Title, Barrett Propane, so we have the public-private sector involvement. I think the benefit of having my economic development background is the fact that I understand that there's going to be competition. At the end of the day, Mr. Paredes is working on economic development. The City of Prescott and Chino Valley, they're all striving to grow their business community. Through that agreement that you have in front of you that you're going to be voting on here in a minute, really sets aside the fact that we need to market our collective assets together. When GPAC markets their region, they have, 4.5 million people. And they have universities, they have infrastructure, they have Sky Harbor. And only way for us to get on the map is to collectively work together. And my role at GPREP is to get the word out about the region, market what we have. And if somebody comes looking or inquiring about our region, if they don't know anything about it, I will be, try to be that first point of contact. And then if they say, I've been there before, can you tell me a little bit more about Prescott Valley? Who do I contact there? We try to take as much of the legwork as we can out of it. But then it's really up to the local municipality to field that inquiry, fill their needs on whatever information that they may need. If, say, Prescott Valley doesn't meet that criteria, then it would come back to me, and then we put it back out to Chino Valley and the City of Prescott. So we want to continue to extend that conversation as long as we can, and hopefully we can come to some agreement on building or site or amenities or workforce with collectively working together.
So would it be fair to say we planted our fruit tree, it's maturing now?
It is. We made great strides even, I think, since this spring.
Okay. Good to hear.
And just to let you know, too, GPREP's going to be a sponsor at the AOPA Fly-In, which is, I think, 2 short weeks away. They expect about 2,500 people up at the airport. So we have some giveaway and some marketing materials for that event. So a lot of business owners coming into town that are also pilots. So, they're a ready-made market for us, so we're going to send them home with something for them to contemplate.
Barry?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this organization, GPREP, it fits in with our general plan that we have for the town of Prescott Valley, because on the voters, they decided that we needed a regional outreach. In fact, as you read into some of the general plan, it does say that to coordinate economic development within the region to enhance opportunities. So, this is something that we look at because, as we grow as a town, that's great. But as a region, that's even more important because we are not just separated by a line in the street. And, when one town fails, we all suffer that. And so we should all learn to work together. And that's part of the plan. And so I do appreciate what you're doing and how you're working together in the community. Thank you.
No? I think we might be ready for a motion.
I'm just wondering if Ben has any other comments. Thank you, Richard. Appreciate that.
Mayor, if I could.
Ryan?
You've heard the expression, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. So that's where GPREP comes in. We want jobs in Prescott Valley. We absolutely do. But if we don't have a building that's a right fit or a location that's a right fit, we want them in the area. Because even if somebody works in Prescott, they're going to live here, they're going to shop here, they're going to entertain themselves here. So we are really growing into a regional presence, and that's where GPREP comes in, is to market that region. So.
Appreciate that comment. Good comment. Anything else, Ben?
The only thing I would add, I've worked in multiple communities across about 14 states in the Midwest and Northeast in my previous position, and I can tell you that the communities that were the most successful in attracting economic development were those that thought from a regional level and on a regional perspective. And for the reasons that Rich and then I almost said Larry here, that Rich and Ryan have laid out. And so I think that this is a great organization. I look forward to watching it grow as I grow in my position.
You got your work cut out for you, Ben.
I agree.
Too. Any other comments? Motion,
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to mention
Mike?
that we will have a council chat where Ben will be interviewed regarding where he's from and what he hopes to accomplish here, and we'll tape that next week, and it'll be available, I'm sure, the week following. So.
Very timely.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
You're going to be putting to work on that too, Ben.
I look forward to it.
Any other comments, Laura?
Motion?
Okay.
Motion to approve the attached contract with the Greater Prescott Regional Economic Partnership by electronic and voice vote.
And I'll second that, Mayor.
Okay, with a motion and a second, would you counter vote? Call the vote, Diane?
Mayor Skoog,
Yes.
Councilmember Whiting,
Yes.
Councilmember Nye,
Yes.
Councilmember Marshall,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes?
and Vice Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
That passes, Mayor.
Thank you, Diane. Okay, move on to number 5, which is something we all hate, adjournment. Anyone care to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and a second. Would you call the vote to adjourn, Diane?
Mayor Skoog,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Mallory, and Councilmember Marshall vote yes. Councilmember Nye,
Yes.
Councilmember Whiting.
Yes.
That is unanimous approval, Mayor.
Thank you, Diane. The meeting is adjourned. We're going to recess or hold off for just a couple minutes so Diane can reset.